Ladies and gentlemen,
And welcome to episode 12 of the Unattached podcast.
the Unattached podcast.
She is Theresa.
He's Ryan Stanley.
And today we are coming to you from sunny Red Bank, New Jersey.
So sunny, really sunny.
We're happy to be here. We weren't certain what today's topic is going to be about, but we figured we'd just go with the flow. On the way in, the first thing that we started talking about as friends was I've kind of felt like I've leveled up lately.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that I'm deriving to a understanding of the concept that we spoke about in episode perhaps 5.
Feature episode 39.
Point 8. We quoted it as being a Wayne Dyer quote, but I'm not sure because I've seen it on the interweb by other people as well.
I think Abraham Lincoln tweeted it last week.
But it is, I have a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing.
Okay.
And my challenge in the past, even when we first started this podcast, it was like, not that a challenge, but being attached, as we've talked about so many times. What I realized after really kind of studying that statement for me was work. Being unattached was I was working on being unattached. Like it's something to do, like, why am I attached to this? I have to work on not being attached to it.
So possibly you were attached to being unattached?
I was definitely attached to being unattached. And once you realize that...
What a concept!
I know, it's a brave new world. I then started looking at the first half of the sentence, which was, I have a mind that is open to everything. And when I started focusing more on that, it made the other half flow easier. So if my mind is open to everything, that includes that whatever I'm attached to could occur, but just in a completely different way.
Sure.
So in a form, it's surrendering.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also choosing to be present.
Yeah.
And there's not as much working as much as it is just being. Like, I'm just here. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I know what I want to happen. I've created vision about it. I am statements. I have a plan. And I have intentions. And I have actions that I'm taking. But if I let go of that, I'm open to everything, and all this action and plans and vision isn't even going to occur if I just make that a possibility. But I'm still going to find joy or whatever, or just experience life for what it is in the end. Then I think that makes it a much more enjoyable path.
So many things just popped into my head.
Go.
Like 1,000 things, Ryan.
Start with one. Or two.
So I hear what you're saying, right? So this idea of being attached to being unattached, and then kind of circumventing that and rewriting it and saying, well, I'm just open to everything. Makes me think that there's a lot of interesting experiences that could happen if you're open to everything. And there was always this joke way back. I don't even remember what part of my life it was from, but it was like, I do anything once, except for meth. Meth, not even once. It's like, how is that even on the docket? Like from a joke, it's like, that's the thing that...
Right. So that's where I draw the line.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so I guess like everything else is up for grabs. But it's funny because you've told me a bunch of times and it really sunk in, this idea of anything you want or anything that you're creating or manifesting or moving toward, the only thing that's between you and it is just time. So
Literally.
you can decide how you want to spend that time. That's the thing that you're going to decide. It's funny because I remember back in like high school when I was supposed to be thinking about what I wanted to do with my life. And I was just kind of like showing up for school. I just knew that I wanted to get out. I didn't really want to go to college, but I was like, all right, I guess I'll do it. You have all these talks with, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? Right. And my thing was always, I just want to be location independent and I want to talk to people for a living. That's it. I love talking to people. I have a buddy who his whole thing is like, Theresa, you're like an explorer. Like you just want to explore people and places and things and ideas. So that was the thing. And now, what do?
You talk to people.
For a living.
All day.
Every day.
And you could actually do that from wherever you want to.
Anywhere.
Technically.
And where do I choose to do it? Like 2 miles from my office.
Yeah, but the reason you do that is because you're at the office, you're interacting with the energy, you're creating energy. IPEC's a pretty cool place to work in general.
Yeah, and the people are pretty awesome. But I mean, I have worked from all over the place. Yep. So it was really cool. I didn't even realize how unattached, but also still kind of attached like, to this idea.
Hey, I know what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to be doing it, but I know.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about it, didn't focus on it. It just kind of flowed into this natural progression. Like, even the story of how I got into coaching is, like, kind of ridiculous. Like, there was no plan. Yeah. So it's funny now that I think about it, and you see me freak out, like, especially over the last couple months, especially the last year. Like, what do I do with my life? I'm a life coach. I'm supposed to have it all figured out. I love my job, but, like, there's more for me. Like, I want to utilize myself also, like, in my time that I'm not at IPEC, and even more so when I am in IPEC and for myself and for all these different things. And I remember, I'm like, Theresa, relax.
You're doing it.
You're doing it. I'm like, but I can't relax. You don't understand. This is my life. And make every decision as though your life depends on it, because it does.
Right.
And you're like, no. Relax.
Blue dot.
Yeah, you're a blue dot, like Carl Sagan says. You're a blue dot floating through space. You're on a blue dot. It's called Earth. So this whole, like, attached to nothing, but open to everything.
Yeah.
So kind of, I've read the surrender experiment.
Yep.
Where you go from kind of having this directed, attached mentality to just surrendering to the flow of life and opportunity, and just kind of listening to that intuitive self of, like, what's the calling, what's the purposefulness here. That's been really helpful.
Being. It's the difference between being and doing, right?
Being and doing, because being is effortless and doing is work.
Sure.
So funny enough, so Ryan and you and I, we actually gathered this fine morning to just hang out, buddies, friends, hanging, but also we got these things called self-journals.
Yeah.
So do you want to explain to our listening audience what the self-journal is?
Sure. I don't know enough about it in the detail. You still have a little bit more reading to do.
Well, both of us do.
Yeah.
There's a lot to read.
But it's a 13-week journal basically made for entrepreneurs and people who want to show up every day and have been having challenges. It's kind of like a coach. It's a coach it's like a self-coaching journal, basically, on some level.
For entrepreneurs, but also people who have goals.
Yep.
That not necessarily that you're having trouble reaching, but that you actually would like to reach.
Right.
And in the first page, remember I pointed it out, it was like, this is an imperfect
path or whatever.
Yeah, it was like,
or take imperfect action to get the perfect result or something like that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the idea is, like, you're attached to the result, but not completely.
Right.
Like, it's like the whole, I want to talk to people for a living. I don't know how it's going to happen. This kind of puts a little bit more purposefulness in it, but like allows for the flow of life as well.
Yeah, and it even takes points where it's not like there's no days, like it doesn't say Tuesday do this, or I don't know if it, or it doesn't have to.
You can.
Gives you an opportunity if you miss a day or two. It's you're not looking at, like, oh, today's Wednesday the 13th and I haven't done anything since Monday the 11th. Forget it. I'm not doing anything. Yeah. So
we're gonna die.
Right. It takes that off the table. It's made for. They actually tested it out with a bunch of entrepreneurs for I think like a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the points they make at the beginning of the book is, like, so there was two people who were kind of in a race to get from Chicago to New York, and they were walking, and this goes back a long time. And one guy's group did 20 miles every day, no matter what.
I'm pretty sure it was a race to the Arctic.
All right.
It's more Shackleton.
Shackleton-ish?
Kind of a Shackleton.
Right. Maybe he was from Chicago.
So I just want to listen.
And one was from New York.
Probably. You see, tidbits. But we both haven't read this whole prologue. There's like 30 pages that we have to read before.
That's our takeaway. We're going to read it, but so bits and pieces.
Our biggest takeaway was, like, we need goals and we have to read.
But there was a guy, so one guy just did 20 miles a day no matter what. Mm-hmm. And the other guy did as many as they could on days that the weather was nice. And the guy who got there first was the guy that did 20 miles no matter what every day.
And they did, from what I understand, it was literally no matter what.
Right.
Like, if they were starving, if they were hungry, if it was, like, blizzarding and blistering heat. And even if there was nice weather and they could go further, they didn't. Right.
Right, exactly. So it's about consistency. And so anyway, so that's a big part of this. So we're setting up the next 13 weeks together to kind of create something to be attached to, but then enjoy the process of not being attached to what happens along the way.
Very well put, and that really kind of goes back to what you were saying about the whole...
Enjoying the process.
Yeah.
But being aware of who you are at any moment. And I guess for me, it's like, okay, so at any point, if I'm frustrated or stressed, then I can always just go to... But before I would go like, okay, so why am I attached to this? Am I attached? What is it? Okay, what if I wasn't attached? That's cool. It's a great question to ask, and it helped me kind of think about things. But there was still that energy of anxiety, for lack of a better term. Not heavy, strong, but, like, there was still this thing, I'm still not getting it done. Like you said, like, What am I going to do? But once I realized, it's like, okay, but I'm open. I have a mind that is open to everything. It's like, so everything means that I could be, wanting to do one thing, and then somebody's going to walk up to me tomorrow and hand me $1 million check, or offer me a job in Antarctica that I would love, or something ridiculous that I would never even think of, but through my visioning and intentional manifestation, that could be the path.
It's interesting that you talk about somebody walking up to you and handing you a check. I've had that experience.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's exactly what you said. It's like, I knew there was a financial goal. I detached from it.
Yeah.
And just kind of put it out there and made concerted, directed action, but not frenetic or stressed or pressured. And it all came together.
Yeah.
So
big time.
Like in my mind, really big time. I don't know, maybe I'll write about it one day. But it was really interesting. So I almost zoned out at what you were saying, because I was like, oh my gosh, I know that feeling. Like, did you see me? I covered my mouth. I was like, oh my gosh.
So much to say. Or at least so much to feel.
Feel the feels. Yeah. And it's funny that, you talk about that whole process, like the journey. So we've talked about it before. A really impactful book for me was The Alchemist.
Yeah.
And you remember when you and I used to buy lottery tickets all the time?
Yeah. I still do, by the way.
I do occasionally, but I feel like we should get back to that.
All right.
But I feel like I wasn't blessed with the universal gift of like winning money or something like that, because I thought it would destroy the journey.
Okay.
And it would destroy the process. Have I shared that with you?
I think, well, you couldn't listen. I don't think I'm meant to win the lottery, and I don't think, we're going to get money a different way. And, we've had conversations in that general vein, but yeah.
But remember when I said to you last night, I was like, I felt guilty asking the universe for money and like being like money driven. Like I always thought like, oh, I'm just not money driven. Like I'm just not, what did I, financially motivated?
Okay.
I used to say.
Yeah.
I realized last night, like, that's just all guilt. Like, F that. I'm in.
Yeah,
so.
And I'll just add real point. Like over the last year, part of my I am statements, there's a lot around money. I believe you can be a lot better of whoever you are. You can. You don't have to be. You're not always, but I believe I can be better of who I am, be more of who I am with more money and more opportunity to bless others and to do more of what I want to do.
Well, it facilitates more. You can capitalize on more opportunity, and it facilitates different, and I don't want to say greater because I feel like that's a judgment, but more impactful, however you want to put it, opportunities. Different. Yeah. But I always thought like, oh my gosh, if somebody, because I look at all these people out there in the world and like the whole idea of success is money. And I'm like, I don't know, like I've never.
But it's not though. Well, it is, but it doesn't have to be for you.
Well, but that's the thing is like I always thought like, oh my gosh, all these people are motivated by money, but they're still miserable. Like, and I guess subconsciously I was like, that's gonna be me. So last night I was and you see the attitudes on wealth, winning the mind game on wealth. So I do those affirmations, which I'm gonna add to my I am statements as well, which I'm gonna suggest you do too.
Nice.
But I was reading those last night, and I was like, you know what? F this. Universe, give me money. And it was like I realized that it was because I thought money would ruin the journey, because for so many people that's the end point. For me, that's just part of the beginning.
Right.
I realized that last night. It blew my mind. So I was like,
I'll take a high five.
Boom. Smack yourself in the face while you do it. But I realized I was like, oh my gosh, that I was attached to having nothing.
Right. Because you were afraid with money you'd be something that you didn't want to be.
Yeah, and there's no journey. Like,
but
the journey's
really,
over. That's someone else's.
You're in charge of being who you want to be. Money or no money.
Right? There are very few people that I've met that I think would do very well with a lot of money in terms of wisdom and usefulness. And, I think it was Andrew Carnegie who wrote The Gospel of Wealth. I think it was The Gospel of Wealth, the manifesto on how to use financial gain for the greater good. I mean, he was a little skewed.
Yeah. He tortured a lot of people in his.
Yeah,
not
he
literally
would
physically, but
well,
his working conditions were not.
He was he would raise hours, decrease wages, increase productivity, and then take that extra revenue and build like firehouses and libraries and be like, oh look, I'm changing the world. But it's like you're kind of really screwing over.
Doing it on the backs of.
Yeah, so there's that, but I feel like you're one of those people that I would trust to have a lot of money and really know how to use it in a really great way. Like, not frivolous. Like, people are always like, oh, I get a yacht and like a fancy watch, and it's like, that's just okay, great, that's for you. You
Right.
would get, what would you get, a Jaguar? That's
I
like
would get a Jaguar just because.
your big spend
yeah,
is
I
a
will.
Jaguar.
Yeah, I will get a Jaguar. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the big spend. For me, I don't even know what the big spend is.
And only because that's an attachment that I've had since I was 17. When I was 17, I was like, oh, that's my dream car. So boom, so that's
Bing,
my
bang,
intention.
boom.
Yeah, so that's there.
Jaguar.
Right, done and done.
So exactly. So you're one of those people that, like, when we talk about like what we would do with a lot of money, it's not like, oh, I'd buy a mansion in like
Right.
Monaco or something.
It's more
No.
I'd live my life and create new adventures, and
Yeah, and bring other people with you and really share that. And it was really funny. I realized it last night. I was like, no, if you have money, it doesn't circumvent the journey. It creates a different part to that journey.
Yeah.
So it's super cool. I feel like I got off on a tangent there, but it was.
It was a good one. It's an
Did you see the shock in my face when I realized it?
It's important though, because there is an attachment to money, or there isn't. There's attachment to what my life would be like with money. Many people, especially me as a younger person, felt like, whether I said the words or not, that money was the answer. And then once you get money, people, oh, if I win the lottery, then everything will be solved, and that's typically not the case.
No, definitely not.
Right. So, but for me, I would say that in the last year of growth, when I've really been focusing on these I am statements, I listened to a meditation by Esther Hicks, which is all about financial. And one of the things that she says is something along the lines of, oh, I completely lost it. Trying to think about it, I lost it.
Esther Hicks.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm trying to remember specifically what she says, because that's good. It's along the lines of, I'm grateful for what is, and excited for what is to come. Like, you go from being of a place of worry and fear in regards to money to a place of excitement, and it's like you're excited for the money to come, like knowing that it's coming, right? So
Yeah.
I got to that point, and now I'm at a point where I literally don't even think about it. And I'm doing very well in a lot of areas of my life. Money does flow to me often, easily, and abundantly
from several different sources.
Yeah,
of course.
I literally, like, I tell you all the time, I can't stop selling T-shirts. Like,
Sell those tees,
I'm
can't
too
do it.
busy. All of a sudden, just these shirt sales keep coming in. I've got like 8 shirts in my car right now that are going in the mail.
I can't stop closing students.
Literally.
Literally.
And so once you kind of get to that point, it's like I'm not concerned where money is coming from ever. Like, I don't think about it. I literally don't think about it. I more think about what I'm doing every day. Like, that's my focus.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? So that's a beautiful focus to have, and I always think of money as a byproduct of fun and success.
Yeah.
And success is how you define it. For me, it's like my older brother put it perfectly a long time ago when I left a gym that was no longer fun for me to train at. They were like, why did she leave? And they're like, well, you made it not fun for her. My sister doesn't do anything unless it's fun. And
Right.
if it's not fun, she's not going to do it. So it's the fuck yeah, fuck no mentality.
Right.
Which makes, like, I was at Aikido summer camp this past week.
Yeah.
And I had some interesting experiences, a little outside of the box for me. But I can't even believe the number of people who called me intense. And I was like, really? And then I just
I don't
realized.
even like tents.
Yeah.
I'm not a camper.
I have a sleeping bag, but that's about it. But it was interesting, and I realized it's because I'm not going to do something unless I'm fully there and engaged. And for some people, they want to quote unquote relax. And for relaxing, like, that idea is like, I want to fuck around. I don't want to be my best self right now.
Right.
I want to hide, and I want you to let me do that.
Yep.
And I want you to do that with me. And for me, it's like, no. Like, but oh my gosh, there's like kind of a little bit of a tangent. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. We're following you.
But what you were saying about the Esther Hicks thing, so this idea of like removing the worry of money, and
Yeah.
how you're in that place where you don't really worry about it, and you can stop selling t-shirts, and money is this byproduct of fun and success. The times where I stray from that, like, I'm dating a guy who has fancy taste. I
Right.
call it fancy taste. He drives an Audi. I looked at his glasses the other day. Like, you see my glasses, they're like, I got buy one get one on Amazon.
Can't go wrong.
No, and they're from like True Vision or something, like somewhere in China.
Joe's made in China. True
Crab
Vision.
Shack, like-
They're actually called goggles.
Yeah, they have this strap around the back, and you can wear them in the pool.
Yeah, very nice.
But like, they serve the purpose. I looked at his glasses; they're like Dolce and Gabbana,
Right.
and I'm like, okay, like, I wouldn't know. Like, it never crosses my mind. But some people have a different taste.
Right.
So moments like that make me think, like, I look at my car. You know about my car.
I love your car.
My car is an opportunity for growth, but it's a beautiful opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
And then I'm around people who are stressed about money, who really either highly value it or are very stressed about it. So, like, members of my family, certain things going on. It's like, I don't know. Where's the money for this going to come from? Like.
And then you're like, I don't know either. Isn't it exciting?
Yeah, but it's like after a while,
Right.
you're around people who it's like these three different worlds. It's like someone who values money a lot, but in different ways.
Yeah.
And then around somebody who's like stressed, scarcity mentality, and then like around like coaches, IPEC, like other people that I pull into my life.
Abundance.
Mindset. It's not even an issue. It never comes up.
Right.
Or if it does, it's like, yeah, isn't it exciting? Like the journey.
I don't even know.
Yeah, so I get thrown sometimes where I'm like, I'm in this great spot. I'm like, yeah, money, long game. Like, I have debt for sure. Student loans, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's cool. Like, I'm not going anywhere. The only thing between me and millions of dollars is time. And that time is going to be spent having fun with people I love and enjoy, and creating things that help other people learn and grow and share and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's really, sometimes like that's my opportunity to really not be attached to someone else's frenetic,
right,
or even their value.
Yeah.
And like stick to it. I have some trouble with that sometimes though.
Because you're human.
Yeah, that whole thing.
One thing I do know about
you.
So
I thought about getting a tattoo somewhere, or like stamping it on my face.
It's just like, money flows to me often, easily, and abundantly.
Yes. So that's why the I am statements are going to be really, really important for me coming up, because I have a feeling I'm going to be in that position a lot.
And the neat thing is when you are there and you're not spending literally that time and that energy on fear, right, or anxiety or lack, you then have an opportunity to focus it on anything else you want. Yes.
And that's also, I think, where having money in general is, like, I used to find some guilt around it. It also enables you to not have to worry about, like, spend the time where my car has, it's kind of like,
needs some love.
She has a frequent flyer pass
at the mechanic
for the Firestone down the street.
Yeah.
Quite literally, every time I go there, they're like, oh God, we love seeing you, but we don't want to see you.
Right.
There's even one guy who I think it was the third time he welded my muffler back on. He was like, I don't want your money. Just get out of here.
Take this thing.
Get a new car.
Please.
So having those things, like just like a car that runs,
right,
I don't have to worry about it. Like, I don't even have to expend any time or energy on it, which totally frees me up,
right,
to do other things.
And to create.
You taught me that, actually.
Nice. Take a high five.
It's true.
Yeah. So in any of this stuff, again, we go back to being attached.
Totally.
But being attached to money is a huge thing that I would say a majority of Americans have a challenge with.
I would say people.
No, but so I can only speak, I don't want to say that people in
I know
third
you've been
world
to
countries
Amsterdam.
are, I've been places.
You've been around. I've been
Here and
around.
there.
Come on, you see it everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's a general part of our it's like the survival mentality too. Like survival versus thrival. My
cousin, who said he wanted to do all 7 continents before he was 30, he never got to Antarctica, but he did all other 6 of them. Done a lot of world traveling. I saw him earlier this year.
Awesome.
And I was like, I said, Brendan, what's your biggest takeaway from all this world travel? He said, Ryan, it's not even arguable that people with less are happier.
Oh my gosh, I get chills.
He's like, to a place all the places I've been in the world, I've been to, and like he traveled all through Vietnam, like out through, like he did some crazy stuff, out through Peru, and just on his own, like literally we just would go to these places and travel for like 3 weeks at a time. And he said, it's not even arguable. He said, wherever I went, people with less, as a whole, like communities who had less, everybody I met was much happier.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
That's one thing.
Well,
but that doesn't mean that, you can't search, or I'm all about seeking financial abundance.
There are happy, wealthy people out there.
Absolutely.
I've been reading Richard Branson's How I Lost My Virginity, his autobiography. It's kind of like one of those books that I read when I'm mentally exhausted. And then I realize, well, because...
See, that's the major difference between you and I. Like, when I'm mentally exhausted, the last thing I'm going to do is read anything.
Okay, we're different. I get that.
Oh my God, my brain doesn't work. I better pick up I better pick up a lot of words and read them.
It's a really big book.
Yeah.
So he knows how to enjoy and really bring other people with him, and he does a lot of really good work. But it's really funny the way he put it. But he's a rich guy who knows how to be happy and joyful, at least from, all
What you can
accounts.
tell, yeah.
Yeah, like he's just a guy who there's a joie de vivre, like just the absolute love of life. And it's funny because when you
The joie de vivre, what was that?
Joie de
Joie
vivre.
de vivre, sacre bleu.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm
That's
with
one
it.
of my favorite terms, and I don't like the French language because of all those silent, sneaky letters. Like faux pas. Where are all those letters that you don't hear? They're hiding.
It actually is a faux pas.
Exactly.
Right?
And I found out recently, I know this sounds ridiculous, that my name has a silent letter.
Really? The H?
It's silent.
Interesting.
Yeah, it blew my mind.
Surprise.
Gave me a whole new appreciation for the French. I did have a friend from Venezuela who used to call me Theresa.
Oh, and you said, listen.
Barcelona. Yeah, I never said anything, but he's a super cool dude.
Yeah, right.
Dan, if you're listening, I miss you, man.
High fives.
So Manny Rivera is a baseball player. I think he's from the DR, the
Yep.
Dominican Republic, and he was doing an interview on NPR like a couple years ago, and it totally stuck with me because I realized how happy some of like the most simple times that I've ever had were, and then how unhappy some of the most like, I don't know, frivolous like financial times I've ever had. But he says, when I was a kid, the interviewer asked him, he's like, you come from this like, you grew up in basically a cardboard house kind of thing. Like you really didn't have much. And now you're getting paid millions of dollars and you're like retired. I think he was retiring, and they're like, he's like, how do you reconcile that? And he's like, well, when I was a kid, we had nothing, but we had everything. And I was like, oh shit, that's so true.
Right.
Because you just find the love, like joie de vivre, like the joy of living. There's the love,
And if you don't also, by the way, I'll interject and say, if you don't know that you have nothing, if everybody around you has nothing, then nothing is common. I mean, certainly you don't want to be physically ill and unable to take care of yourself. But I mean, if you're in a plan where everybody in town is the same way, then that's just what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then he goes on to say, he says, hey, I see people who have everything, but they have nothing. And funny enough, I just read an article yesterday from, I think it was the Harvard Business Review, that the number one indicator of happiness is the quality of the friendships that you have, not the style, kind, and brand of the things that you own, or the amount of them. So it kind of like funnels into that, you know. It was really cool.
And again, it's not that there's anything quote unquote right or wrong about
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, but want to have a group of friends who also have expensive taste, and if that's what you like to do, that's what you find appealing.
I have a buddy who like he goes sailing, and I was like, I was talking to him, and he was just like, he was telling me about how he travels, and he's like, Theresa, I don't travel, I don't skimp when I travel, and I'm thinking like, I went to Costa Rica and stayed in like a house in the jungle, or like, I had a machete and shit. Like, I'm like hacking through weeds to get to like a place to find some food. Yeah, to get to the front door, and it's like rainy season, so it's muddy. It was awesome. And he's like, no.
Yeah,
I don't do that.
We don't go there.
And he's like, look, it's just a different experience. I was like, oh.
And you can have both though, too, ideally.
True. And it's having the option to have both, which is a really cool thing. And then to me, it's not like, I've been spending a lot of time alone.
Yeah.
For the past probably year. I mean, granted, I did move in alone. It was an adjusting.
For the first time, right?
Yeah, it was an adjustment period, but it's a really busy area, and I have like a lot of people close. But it was kind of cool to like travel alone, or just like do things alone. I started Aikido with a friend, but now it's like a practice where I go and I know people and things, and it's like all of these things that are alone. But then I realized the value of community. And going places where everybody knows your name, or where you have those high quality friendships. So you could literally be doing nothing, and it's everything. And then there's sometimes when you're doing something super cool, but you're so disconnected from the people around you, there's just no connection. It's like when they say you're in New York, and there's the most people in the world right there.
In one area, but you're all by yourself.
You're completely alone. Yeah. And it's super cool because you have a group of friends that you've had like your whole life. That's like, if I had to be envious of you for one thing, I think that would be it. It's the coolest thing. Yeah, it's so cool.
And but to your point though, it's like people also change and grow, and I mean, I've been hanging out with these guys since I was 13 years old.
That's crazy.
And we still hang out, weekly. Sometimes not as much as we used to, because my habits just in general have changed.
Yeah.
But knowing that I can always go there is a fun place to be.
So it's kind of, you're not attached to, I think when you're in those types of longer term friendships and relationships and connections, you have to not be attached to who that person was when you met them, or the most like impactful time, because they grow. So you really have to,
or they don't.
Either way, it's kind of like there's
And
this
you do.
fluidity there. Or just in different ways.
Yeah.
Like you grow in different ways.
One of my biggest lessons, I feel like I say that I've had a good year of growth, people out there, just so you know. I've grown a lot in the last year, intentionally.
I'll jump on your bandwagon.
Thanks.
It's I've seen it, and also experienced it with you,
But one of my big lessons in this growth has been, when I wasn't spending as much time with my close friends, because I was preferring to do other things that were leading me towards the life that I'm choosing, towards creating business, towards creating whatever it is. I would get upset with myself, like, my friends are all hanging out and they invited me, and it's not that I don't want to go. I'm anti-going as much as I think I would just prefer to be spending my time doing something else in particular.
Yeah.
It might be in my office, it might be outside, whatever it is. And I was get upset about that. I was like kind of judging myself, and then I didn't want them to be upset with me. And then I was like, I didn't want them, all this stuff, because they're an important part of my life. I mean, they're technically brothers, And so two things. One, I go back to stop giving a shit what other people think.
Yeah.
Right? It was episode 7.
Yeah, that one comes up, yeah.
And that includes people who you love a lot, my best friends. So, if they don't like that I'm not hanging out, then they're not understanding who I am on some level, right? And it's really none of my business what they think about me. A.
Yeah, your opinion of me is none of my business.
Right.
Yeah.
And B, there was what I realized is that I was having challenge letting go of my old self. Like the sadness and the unhappiness and I guess I should go out, that should coming up again, was me kind of being sad that the old person who used to hang out and go drink beers for 8 hours in a garage on a Friday night was not around anymore. Like, I'm feeling like, am I doing something wrong? Like, it's not easy to let that person go.
Wow.
So awareness around that, then that was almost like giving a shit what that person thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some of my sadness was like, what would old Ryan think?
Even
though I didn't realize it, right? That's kind of
so
where the stress came from. And so now once I realized that, it's like, okay, so what if I don't give a shit what old Ryan thinks, because I'm not old Ryan anymore? Like, hey, this is who I am now.
Oh my gosh. You're making me realize. So I did hang out and have a lot of drinks on my birthday accidentally.
Nice.
And
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You made it.
I know, right? But I didn't have the whole, like, what would past me think? It's more like, what would the me I am now and am becoming think? Like, I definitely was with a lot of, I don't remember.
Right.
It was I felt terrible the next day. Well, obviously physically, but even just the emotional after effect was like, fuck, I failed me so hard. And I was like, well, I can rationalize this, or I can see this as just an opportunity to realize more so that I don't want to do this all the time.
Right.
And, that kind of thing. It was a really interesting experience. But it was more not the judgment of my past self to my future and current self, but it's more like my current and future self judging me being my past self and having that glimmer and being like, this is going to be me forever. Oh, no.
Well, that's not even remotely the case.
Exactly. So likewise for you, I mean, you're totally on this upward trajectory. Like I said, your success is inevitable.
This is true.
It's really cool. And it's that attachment to nothing and quite literally being open to everything, but knowing where you're going.
I love it.
It's amazing.
Couldn't have wrapped up our call in a better way. I would say call, but our podcast.
It's because we talk to a lot of people on the phone.
It's true.
Every day.
All day.
Call us.
Please. Thank you for listening today. Anything you want to wrap up with in particular?
Well, I would challenge our listeners. What are your attachments? Like, what's like, that's the coolest thing. Like, you were talking to me the other day about, feeling either fear, discomfort, or doubt, and like stopping in that actual second. Yeah. Saying like, well, what am I attached to here? Like, why?
And what would it be like even if I am attached to something? What if I'm open to it happening a way that I couldn't even imagine?
Anyway, it's gonna happen. So yeah,
that's like the biggest freedom for me.
It's a cool thing. And to end on, I guess.
Yeah, and also real quick, episode 11 was all about music. And I saw what I'd like to start doing is like I realized, hey, I talk about music, but then we just I talk about Phish and the Beatles, and anybody can just throw those out over and over again. So I want to start. I'm going to go through my list of Pandora people. Each episode, I'm just going to mention one person on it, and let our listeners go ahead and decide to seek out them.
Can I do this week? I think it's relevant.
Please, go ahead.
So there's a band called, and I think it's a great idea, by the way. Just
Thank
want
you.
to acknowledge
Thanks for
that.
sharing.
It's totally awesome. So Band of Horses.
Yeah.
They have a really great album that's like, I think it's 32 minutes and 33 seconds long.
Exactly.
And it's called Everything and Nothing.
All at once?
All at once.
Nice. Band of Horses, people. Check them out. There's some, I think there's a popular, quote unquote, popular song, The Funeral, is I think one of their biggest.
It's a beautiful song.
Yeah, I really like it a lot. Listen to it. Good flow of energy. So check them out.
And it's the universe, everything and nothing all at once.
All at once.
So we'll
Literally.
link it in the comments.
Cool.
Did I do good music-wise?
You did great. High five.
Yes!
Put it up there. We will see you guys next week for episode 13, the magic number. And I don't know, she's Theresa Rezga.
He's Ryan Stanley.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.